Does the NHL do a good job of making and marketing its own stars? And maybe you have a different perspective on this being from Canada than I might be having from being somebody that's in the United States. But it
Yeah.
seems much easier for casual
It's
sports fans to get to know NBA and NFL players than the NHL.
I think first of all, in Canada, it's easy, right? In Canada, it's simple because, you mentioned junior hockey a second ago. Everybody follows these players, all through their development from
Yeah.
when they're, even before they're drafted into their junior teams. Like you start to know the names, and the whispers go, and prospect media is huge right now. So a lot of Canadians already know these names by the time they get to the NHL. The issue that the NHL has had stateside for years has always been, it seemed like hockey players came out of these hockey factories in Val-d'Or and Sudbury and Swift Current, and they just arrived, right? I think and the NHL Network does a lot of work on this now, more so than they ever have before. And a lot of that has been led by EJ Raddick, who I've always maintained is one of the most important people in pushing, getting the stories out about younger hockey players and getting things like the World Junior Tournaments on the NHL Network, so American fans can know who these players are, know, James Hagen's backstory before he goes to the NHL, get a sense of who these players are. So that's why I go back to the whole hockey ecosystem thing. It's a lot easier if everybody knows the backstory of all these players before they get there, because it's hard. Like the thing about hockey is, you can look at, I don't know, pick the biggest star in the game. Like Sidney Crosby, for example. Okay. Say Sidney Crosby, you say the name, everybody knows it. There'll be some games where you go to see Sidney Crosby and he won't do anything. But if you go to an NBA game, pick your superstar, that superstar is going to do something.
Yeah.
That you're going to be able to say. Hockey is just a profoundly different sport. And there's 4 lines and 3 pairs of defensemen. And the top players are going to play like 20 minutes a night. They're not going to play anywhere close to the full 60 unless you're a goaltender. It makes it really challenging for casual fans to gravitate towards certain players when there are just some nights where it's just not going to happen. Just not going to happen.
Why was Wayne Gretzky able to transcend the sport? And is that something that can we see another player do that again?
He went to LA. And he changed the game. He went to Los Angeles and the game changed with him. I'll still remember that, pictures of him with Magic Johnson, like right away, like Wayne Gretzky is like beside the superstars of American sports. It changed how the NHL does business. It changed how Canadian hockey teams do business. It changed, like when that deal was like, we're still feeling the effects of it to this day. Vegas doesn't have a team if Wayne Gretzky doesn't get traded to Los Angeles. You can go like right down the list of all these organizations that don't exist, and the NHL is not, the multi-billion-dollar industry that you see now. So I think the big moment there is the best player in the game playing in one of the biggest sports markets in the world. That's key. And I always wonder, if there was. Okay. What do you think about this one? If the miracle on ice happened now, what do you think the effects would be? Because 1980 gave us, Modano and Chelios and that era of athlete. But in the social media world, where everything gets blown up and spread out and heroes are made instantly, if that game happened now, how big would hockey be in the United States?
Yeah, it would be massive.
Massive. Absolutely massive. The other thing, I was having this conversation.
Because you're getting the entire country to kind of focus on the sport in a way that the NHL just isn't really able to do.
It pains me as a Canadian to say this, but when I think of the growth of hockey and the good of the game and growing it and non-traditional markets and getting sticks in everybody's hands and making it more on par with some of the other major sports in North America, I'll tell you what it's going to take. It's going to take American gold medals. It's going to take America beating. for years we kept saying, international hockey was Canada, Russia for so many years. The growth of international hockey is Canada versus the United States. And what has to happen here for hockey to grow is and they're right there now. Trust me, as a Canadian, we know this. United States needs to start winning gold medals on a consistent basis. And they're not that far away from doing it. We may see it at the Four Nations. We may see it at the Olympics. We may see it at the World Juniors this year with that BC line. That we're not that far away from seeing it. But that's what I think needs to happen for there to be significant growth in the United States.